almost 2 years ago, in September 22nd, 2007, Max and I were going to the farmer's market and here in Albert Lea, and he's one of his favorite things to do. We were in the garage and he started having a tonic-clonic seizure in the garage, just out of the blue. And before it happened, he was not listening well and kind of unfocused, and he just wasn't like himself. And now in the hindsight, I know what that was leading up to. When he had the first seizure, I was really thrown off because I thought he had slipped and fallen and bumped his head when he was getting into our car. And so I was kind of confused at first, thinking that he fell and bumped his head and that caused him to kind of go convulse. Because I know what seizures are. But then I realized as I was holding him in my arms and he almost appeared like he was choking, and then I knew he was having a seizure, and I think it maybe lasted 30 seconds to a minute. I wasn't really timing it, but I just held him until it stopped, and then he kind of went limp in my arms. So I knew he was having a seizure, and I just remember praying, thinking, come back to me, because he was breathing so lightly. I knew he was breathing, but he was just kind of lifeless and limp in my arms for a while as he was needing that rest to kind of reboot his brain after it happened. So I knew it was a seizure, but I didn't understand why. I didn't know if it was from bumping his head, and now we know that there was, that he has a rare type of epilepsy that happens to show up between the ages of 2 and 5, and he was 2.5. So, but in hindsight, and at the time, and he had that one, and then for 2 weeks he was fine, and then it happened again. So. And it just progressively got worse very quickly.
When Max started having seizures, we immediately went to the Mayo Clinic for treatment, and we're having trouble getting to where we needed to be with the right medications and everything. We did go get a second opinion up in the Twin Cities from a well-known doctor who told us that Max would basically become mentally incompetent from his seizures. And there was really not much we could do other than put him on some strong medicines, and so we were pretty devastated when he told us that news. The next day we went back to Mayo and met with the doctors again. They checked him into the hospital and did more tests, and they really disagreed with what that doctor had told us. And from there on, we started on the ketogenic diet.
What the diet is a high-fat diet. High-fat meaning high-fat in butters and oils and avocado and bacon, and the kind of fat that you don't typically eat a large amount of in your diet. But it's high-fat, moderate protein, so it gives the child enough energy and strength to grow and the proteins that they need, but also moderate enough that it's not the brain needs to break all that down. And for some reason, the carbs, so the diet is very low in carbs. So the protein and carbs are harder to break down, and the fat is what's helping heal the brain. And it's a very involved diet, but it's very worth it because it's what's brought our boy back to us. Everything that he eats is weighed on a gram scale. So for breakfast, for example, he would have about 22 grams of bacon, which is about 2 strips of bacon. About 14 grams of butter, so a little more than a tablespoon, and about 19 grams of canola oil that we would mix in with juice, when I say juice, I mean like flavored water, or things that are free of carbohydrates, because the carbohydrates are not free at all. And the carbohydrates that he does get are fruits, vegetables, a small amount of cereal every now and then as a treat. But like his favorite would be strawberries. So with that meal for breakfast, he would have probably about 2 strawberries with his strips of bacon and his oil and his butter. And we usually make the butter mixed. We mix it with like a sweetener and some cocoa to make it kind of look like chocolate pudding, or make it into a candy in the freezer so it's hard like a candy. But it definitely is not your typical candy or chocolate pudding.
9 months ago, Max was to the point where he was having hundreds of seizures a day. He couldn't walk, talk, couldn't even eat his food. We were basically giving him a liquid diet, still trying to keep him on the ketogenic diet. And it had gotten to the point where his life just wasn't what we had always dreamed it would be, and what he wanted it to be. But what we did is we had kind of tracked what was happening with his medications and talked to his doctor about taking him off his medicine, because we really felt that was causing seizures. We had tried 6 different medications, and what happens is the more medications you try, the lower the chances are that new medication will work. It's somewhere 10 to 15% chance that new medication will work. So we really felt that from other people's experiences that was the thing that we needed to do. So our doctor worked with us on that.
We would tell Dr. Wirrell these suggestions and these ideas, and this happened, and she listened, and she said, let's try it, and we would say, we can't go through life knowing that, we didn't take the medicine away and see if the diet can truly heal Max and help him. And she said, let's try it. And we had a plan if that didn't work, and it worked. It was like the best thing we ever did. It was a miracle. It literally was a miracle. Max was not able to walk. He couldn't walk. He couldn't talk. He couldn't even chew his food last November. He had lost his ability to function. And, having your child be, when he was 2.5, talking 10-word sentences and laugh and smile and run and play, and all of a sudden start losing those skills and be able to lay on the couch and drool and hardly function was devastating. And we just said we can't go on. And when that was happening, we were in the process of weaning medicine, which Dr. Wirrell was under her direction, and it was really hard to tell because he was having so many seizures. Was his body going through withdrawal from medicine, or was the medicine the culprit? And in his case, the day we took the last pill away, literally that day, as we called Dr. Wirrell, we said, you know what? It's not getting better. We need to do something. How can we get off this medicine really quickly? And we went through that process with her in over a week's time, how to get rid of the last few pills. We did it last day, literally November 24th. I'll never forget that day. He took his last pill November 24th, and that day he started to walk again. And it was hard. He could tell he was in pain. His muscles were hurting, I think. And he started talking. And that night he started to talk again. And it was just the best thing I've ever heard. And, Dr. Wirrell believed that. And the thing about Dr. Wirrell is she was always open. She almost lets us kind of guide the right treatment for Max, because we did a lot of research ourselves, and she kind of would listen to us. And that's what we really liked about Dr. Wirrell, is that because she really, I know she believes that Max is going to get better, and she believes in what we have to say about about his treatment plan. And so that was what would be nice, is we would say, we don't feel comfortable trying that medicine. Can we change some things with the diet? And she said yes. she would always be very willing. She always had, I think, her opinion about what we should do, and a lot of times we were on the same page, and there were times we weren't, but she didn't, force us to do things that we weren't comfortable for our child. So that was one thing that we really liked about her, is that just her personality is, she's a very caring person. She's very genuine. You can just almost feel that love coming from her as you're sitting in her office and I'm meeting with her, and not just with Max, with our younger son Charlie too. I was expecting at the time, and she always asked how I was and couldn't wait to meet the new baby. And if we didn't bring him to an appointment, she just made us feel really like part of the Mayo family, maybe. I don't know.